Alright guys, BLM here back with more Lost Judgment. Um, yeah, it's actually not nighttime for first time in a while. Yeah, I mean I go to work in about an hour, a little bit over an hour. But, yeah, I just decided, fuck it, let's record some instead of working on videos for my channel, just because I've had such little time recently to play games, so thought this was a good time. I don't really feel like doing much. Where are we? So back in Kamurocho. Okay, we have to go all the way down there. Yeah, I mean, I did get a start to my History of the Complex Tribe Theory video, but, I was like, well, there's no fucking way I'm finishing this here anyway. And like, again, like, I only really have like another hour. So it's like, you know, fuck it. Let's just record here, guarantee that I get a little bit of this done, like a little bit of this played, and then we'll see what happens tonight. Like, after work today, I might go ahead and just edit. But I might also just say fucking play more of this. But either way, I do want to get this done at some point. Relatively soon, considering I've written most of the scripts for a Judgment video at this point. Obviously, I need to finish this before finishing it, so. Okay. What the fuck?
Hope you don't mind, I let myself in. Now, are you gonna hold up your end and release Yui Mamiya? Come on. You and I can either try to make this work, or neither of us is gonna get what we want. So, you gonna make the call or what?
Hello? Yagami-san?
I'm with Kawana. You can let Mamiya-san go.
Got it. Will do.
Sorry about all this, Yagami. Why don't you sit down? Maybe it's time you and I had a heart-to-heart. How's Kaito holding up?
I love how, like, I bought these barbecue
Kaito-san's
chips and,
recovering
like, they have,
in the
like,
hospital.
no flavor on them.
For
It's
now.
like, what the fuck?
Sawa-sensei is another story, though.
I can hardly believe it. She was the last person I wanted to get mixed up in all this shit.
If that's the case, why were you already waiting in her apartment? RK's top men were lying in wait over there to get their hands on you. So why was she the one lying on the ground? Answer me, Kawana. Was it because of you?
Would you feel better if it was?
How dare you?
You're thinking that if you hadn't stuck your nose in her affairs, she might be at home grading her papers right now. You tell me, is that what's eating away at you right now? Because if it is, you're mistaken. That guilt is mine alone to bear. It's my burden to carry. When I saw on the news that she had been murdered in cold blood, it felt like the whole world had stopped spinning to me. I would take it all back right now if I could. But unfortunately, to fix this, I'd need to turn the clock back further than you'd think.
You mean back to when you were a school teacher?
Yeah, basically. Back to when I still had a little faith in humanity. Seeing someone's life get cut short, you never really bounce back from it, do you? But I don't have to tell you that. I did my homework on you, Yagami. It seems you were a fairly accomplished lawyer. You even scored a murder acquittal. But we both know how that ended. The death of an innocent young woman.
I mean,
You and I are the same.
are we?
We both have scars.
Again, like,
And they're the type
did
of
you not
scars
see
that
the
never
events of
fully
Yakuza
heal.
1, or Judgment 1?
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
The for
Because like technically his acquittal of Okubo had like
13
nothing to
years
do
ago.
with Emmy dying.
The very day before
I mean,
Mitsuru
it did, but like
Kusumoto
not
jumped.
directly. Like it's not like
She
Oppo
stopped me in the
killed
hall so she could tell me about how serious
Emmy.
the bullying really was. Up until that day, I just assumed it was boys being boys, teasing. I figured it was harmless, that they'd get bored with it, and then they'd move on. I mean, come on. Kawai had to have been twice the size of Mitsuru. It's not like I'd seen any fighting. So I warned him not to overdo it. And eventually he would take the hint.
Well, according to what I was told, you smirked, actually.
Yeah, I guess that's what I did. I was too late. Sawa-kun had to point it out. Sensei, how could you be so blind? She asked. Her eyes were this piercing mix of pity and scorn.
I also wanted to record here
According to what she
because,
told me, nearly half
yeah, over the
the
course of
class
this
were
week, I'm
bullying
gonna have to
Mitsuru.
record a lot of videos
She
along
said
the
she'd
way, and that's
seen
gonna
him
take
at the
away time from
station.
this. So,
She made it sound like he had half a mind to jump onto the tracks.
I rather record this now than work on videos.
I'm not so presumptuous anymore. But back then, I used to think my students were my biggest fans. I thought I'd won their hearts and minds. But the look on Sawa-kun's face that day made me see the truth. I couldn't just go on smiling like nothing happened. So I decided to do my homework. The next day, I put a hidden camera in the classroom after school.
So you admit that you're the one who recorded that video?
Yeah. You saw it, right? Talk about the ugly side of kids. Hard to watch, wasn't it? Unfortunately, by the time I picked up the camera and saw what it recorded, Mitsuru had made his jump. I missed him by a few crucial moments. What happened in that classroom was the final straw. Later on, all the bullies were asked what happened. Each and every one of them lied. Kawai started it. It wasn't our idea, they said. To anyone outside of it, all they'd seen was Kawai forcing Mitsuru to do his bidding. So the people held culpable were Kawai and myself. The callous homeroom teacher who deliberately turned a blind eye. That was the day I began living my life with real purpose.
So you couldn't forgive your students who got away with bullying. You went so far. You put aside your own life to make sure they atoned somehow.
That's right. Mitsuru Kusumoto's still a vegetable. He's as good as dead. But I don't care. We have no right to forget about him.
You say that, even though Sawa-sensei ended up paying for it. I'll ask you again. Why were you at her apartment the other day? Don't dodge the question this time.
I wouldn't say I dodged it. But I suppose I should explain from the beginning. 4 years ago, there was a suicide at Sawa-kun's school. It was her own student this time. You know this, right? A student at Seiryo High School? Toshiro Ehara.
Yeah.
When she was in court, Sawa-kun had no choice but to say there wasn't any bullying. Soon as she told me that, I knew Hiro Mikoshiba would be my next target. Of course, she had no idea about any of that. When Sawa-kun learned Mikoshiba had been murdered, though, she reached out to me herself.
What did she want?
She had a sneaking suspicion that I was involved in his death. She called me a few times, prodding carefully for answers. Quite the perceptive lady, really.
And? What kind of answers did you give her?
I denied any knowledge of it. but at one point, she mentioned something kind of odd. That there was a detective at the school already investigating the incident.
Huh?
She meant you, of course. A detective already knee-deep into the case, despite the police barely even knowing about Mikoshiba.
The police are a pain in the ass. But when an out-of-town detective comes sniffing around, that's bad. I knew I had to act fast to get you off the trail. Although, Sawa-kun was a problem too. I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone.
Then what?
First, I found out where the two of you would be meeting up. At that little cafe. Then, I hired the Liumang to step in. But you put up one hell of a fight. They had strength in numbers, but you would have taken out the whole group if I hadn't stepped in. Nonetheless, my other message went through. At the same time, Sawa-kun was handed a photo of Mikoshiba's final moments. I left that task to someone you know. Yue Mamiya. They hadn't seen each other in 13 years. Sawa-kun had no idea.
The lady in the sunglasses. Yui Mamiya was involved in that too?
Everything I did that night was intended as a warning to Sawa-kun. Although, I guess I didn't have to be so extreme about it.
Yeah. Sawa-sensei was too smart. She must have started suspecting that you'd had something to do with Mikoshiba's murder. After all, who else could have known we'd be meeting at that cafe? She'd have traced it right back to you.
Even if Sawa-kun had started to suspect me, I knew she wouldn't sell me out to the cops. We're too alike. The both of us lost students to suicide on our watch. That said, I couldn't bear the thought of dragging her down into the mess I started, so I scared her off, and I thought she would stay away. The day she was killed, she called to ask if we could speak in person. I could tell something was wrong. She was on the verge of tears the whole call. Then she broke down. I asked her why, of course, but she wouldn't give me a straight answer no matter how I tried to phrase the question.
So then what? Did you just waltz on over there? It doesn't seem like you.
Watch it. You don't know me well enough to say that.
Maybe. But I assume you had some sort of plan going in. Were you gonna confess to her?
Here's the thing. If she'd figured out that I was behind Mikoshiba, and it didn't sit well with her, I would have told her every last detail. Sawa-kun, no. I think she would have understood me. Or at least that's what I had believed. In hindsight, I think she was forced to make that call. Under normal circumstances, I'm sure she'd have rather washed her hands of me. Hard as it is to hear, I think she called me under duress. RK probably had her hostage. That would explain the vague responses. That's probably why her voice was trembling. It's tragic.
You mean it was RK? Why do they want you so badly anyway?
I don't know.
What?
If I knew their angle, I'd be doing more than just scurrying around.
You serious?
Believe me, I'm just as clueless as you are, much as I hate to admit it. Honest, I'm not thrilled that a small army wants my head on a platter. Have you noticed how RK seems to show up at the worst possible times? Someone must be pulling their strings.
Then we're on the same page. At least we agree on something.
Just a sec. Yeah. I'm still over here with Yagami-san. You're not being tailed by any of his guys, are you? Okay. Then I'll meet you right now. That was Mamiya-kun. She said she's free. You guys have been true to your word. Tell Sugiura-kun that I said thank you.
Now you want to go? We still have some business to settle here.
Now remember, I'm the handyman here. Let me do the dirty work. I don't know what else to tell you. But you need to get out. While you still can.
If you disappear into the night, I don't want to go busting my ass just to find you again. Before you leave, I'll need some contact info. A phone number would be nice.
Oh, no need for that. As far as I'm concerned, This is goodbye. I wouldn't count on that.
We're actually chasing him down. Man, these chase sequences are so boring, though. Yeah, it's all on rails. Oh, barely got that. Ah, shit, there was a bucket. I didn't see that. Barely got that. Alright, we got it.
Catch you later. Oh, damn it. Get back here.
Okay.
What the? Where'd he go? Kawana! You guys again. You really need the masks? Come on, Kurakawa kids.
You heard that, right? The detective here already knows everything.
Kawana!
What are you going to do now? What do you think happens when he spills everything? Sounds like your lives are over, unless you shut him up.
But Sensei, you'll finish the job for us, right?
Huh? Is that you, Akahike?
Oh, he's even got a name to your voice.
Answer me, Sensei!
I know. I'll be the one to finish it. You just knock him out.
Okay then. Time to learn your lesson!
Come on. What kind of lesson is this? Let's go. Kuwana! Really? So nice of you to stick around. Mamiya-san. Well, since Kuwana couldn't stay, sounds like you're not out of the woods just yet, huh?
Okay. So, we're only really? We're only 20 minutes into this episode? This is chapter 10, right? So we're starting to get really close to the
13
end.
years in the past,
We have, what, 4 chapters left?
Mitsuru Kusumoto plunged himself into a coma, sealing his fate alongside Kuwana's. Ridden by guilt, Kuwana sets off on a path of vengeance, and the bullies he drags with him are shackled to the shadows. However, Yokosawa's murder serves as a deadly wake-up call to what he's done.
Hey. What are you doing?
Getting your identification on record, so you won't be a threat to us anymore.
What?
And I think you owe us after everything you've done. Expect me to come collect one of these days. Your carriage awaits, Mamiya-san.
Don't tell me we're going back to that dingy arcade.
We sure are. But try not to hold a grudge. It wasn't us who abandoned you. Higashi, you already called Sari-san and the gang, right?
Yeah, I let them know what's up. They said they'll head over when they're ready.
Did Shirosaki-sensei say anything?
Well, she was pretty stunned when I told her who Kuwana really is and what he's up to.
Sounding a little smug there, Higashi-san. Taking credit for the detective work you didn't even do? Back me up here, Yagami-san.
Whatever, man. Kuwana got away, and that's all that matters. Still, the task in front of us is finishing Sari-san's case. We have to clear up Ahara's crime once and for all. With Mamiya-san's help, of course.
Finally, I'm ready to get some answers. Well, we still got time till Shirosaki-sensei gets here. Why don't you take a breather, Yagami-san?
Huh? That'd be okay?
Sure. I'll call you once everyone's here.
Yeah, a break sounds good.
By the way, Higashi, has anything unusual gone down in Kamurocho lately? Anything involving RK?
Yeah, about that. My guys were saying things have been a little too quiet since yesterday. Soma and Akutsu are out in Ijincho too. When they come back, they're in for a rude awakening. And they can pay for what they did to Kaito Aniki.
Make 'em pay? Aren't your Yakuza days behind you now?
That's not the Yakuza in me talking. That's just a problem I'm gonna be the solution for.
Isn't that exactly what a Yakuza would say?
Fine. Think of it as getting revenge for a brother. I'm doing the right thing, damn it!
Yeah, maybe it's just how you're putting it.
Besides, what's it matter if I was Yakuza? I've got my own code, and I'm gonna do right by me.
Whatever you say. Much as things change, they stay the same.
Okay. Kill some time. The fucking DLC already got leaked. Looks like shit. What's up? Dawn of Ragnarok. What should I do? Can I do something here? And I have one in Common Roadshow. That's kind of shit.
Hell yeah!
That was quick.
Hey, Yagami-san, it's Sugiura.
Hey,
Shirosaki-sensei and the others just got to Charles. They're getting ready to grill Mamiya-san.
got it. Then I'll head back soon.
Thanks.
Wait, wrong way. God damn it.
Really? You too, Genda-sensei?
What? Am I in the way?
Of course not. I didn't know you still did field work.
I figured if they could pull a fast one on Saori-kun, I'd at least want to look him in the eye.
Why are all these people here? What gives?
We've been waiting for you, Yagami-san. Mamiya-san is about to enlighten us on the truth behind the groping.
Good.
Oh, and I heard about Sawa-sensei. I'm so sorry.
Our condolences.
Looks like she got mixed up in all this when RK was chasing after Kawana. But we're still not sure why they chased him. To figure that out, we'll have to retrace Kawana's steps.
Exactly.
That said, let's start with the harassment charges, Mamiya-san.
Okay.
Fine. Let's get this over with.
Pout all you want, but keep the answers straight. Got it?
Ihara's assault was designed to establish a false alibi for Mikoshiba's murder. So Kawana had you play the victim, and together you pulled one over on the police and the court.
Can you confirm if this is all accurate so far, please?
Yeah.
The person who groped you on the train wasn't Ihara-san himself. It was his stand-in. And my understanding is that he had conspirators to help him fabricate this event?
That's right.
What was Kawana doing at the time? Was he in Nijinsho or Tokyo?
Didn't you hear your lady friend? Ihara-san had a stand-in. And that stand-in was our sensei.
You mean Kawana posed as Ihara himself? So this Ihara was actually Kawana. Huh.
Sensei and Ihara-san have a pretty similar build. Not sure they could have pulled it off otherwise, you know?
But some spots don't look right, like his mouth. You sure that's really Kawana-san?
That part around his mouth is fake. He said he scanned a Hara-san's face and made it on a 3D printer.
Oh, huh. You can print things in 3D now?
Well, it's a machine that takes a model's data from a computer and prints physical objects using materials like resin. So if you were to scan a person's face onto a computer, a 3D printer could accurately recreate it.
I don't know the details, but that's what Sensei used to become a Hara-san.
Something like this. See, with a 3D printer, a piece of a face is pretty easy to make.
What the hell?
I see. His eyes are hidden behind the sunglasses, and the seams on his jaw are obscured by the mask.
It's incredible, I must say. With the mouth area so visible, it's too convincing to think he's anybody else. And with the prosecution assuming he's just another sexual predator, they fell for it.
This is no time to be impressed. In case you forgot, he had the defense fooled too.
Right.
Assuming Kuwana was Ahara's double, there's still some evidence I'm iffy about.
I'm of the same opinion.
Okay. Which evidence is questionable?
How about this then?
I think it's right there.
Before the incident, Ahara used his cars to go through the ticket gate at Ikebukuro, the time of which was recorded.
Right, and it was on October 7th at 7:43 a.m.
Thanks, Hoshino-kun.
Happy to help, Yagami-san.
At the earliest, Mikoshiba's time of death would have been 7:30 a.m. If Ahara killed Mikoshiba in Ijincho, he would have only had 13 minutes to get to Ikebukuro. And frankly, that's impossible.
That's what's dumping you?
Huh?
Sensei borrowed the card from Ahara-san beforehand and passed her the key. Afterward, he slipped it back to Ahara-san when they switched places. That way, Ahara-san ended up having the time-stamped card on him. Makes sense now.
So even the entry time through the ticket gate was used as part of the alibi?
It all seems so obvious now that I hear it. Nobody'd suspect that a groping was being used as an alibi for murder.
Yeah. And on top of all that, no one knew Mikoshiba had been killed during the trial. They really pulled it off.
Anything else?
It's probably this. I don't know.
How should we be looking at this?
No, never mind.
The guy getting taken down in the footage is the real Ahara-san. Sensei had already switched places with them before the scene happened. No one saw through his disguise.
Makes sense. There'd be no way to swap places after getting caught like this. His sunglasses were removed too.
Also, the person who tripped him was one of ours. So was the one who took the smartphone video. If nobody tried to stop him, he would have just gotten away. But the most important part of it was pinning Ahara-san as the culprit out in public.
Right. If that didn't happen, the entire alibi goes up in smoke.
More or less.
Oh shit, we're over 30.
So basically, this entire battery case was calculated from the start. Nothing but smoke and mirrors.
You know what? I think we'll end here. I'll do another episode after this. So yeah, for now, thanks for watching.